Hello viewers, welcome to K Diagnostics, Dio here. Today we have a 2014 Mercedes Sprinter with a 2.1 liter. The complaint on this van is the van loses power tremendously. After doing some tests, I have determined that the charge air cooler is leaking. That's why this van is losing power. So since the charge air cooler is leaking, it's causing low boost trouble codes to be set in the engine computer. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a charge air cooler on this van. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go under the van and disconnect the inlet tube and the outlet tube of the charge air cooler. After that, we're going to come up front and remove the front grille. So now let's go under the van. So here is our charge air cooler. This is what we're going to replace. As you can see, this side over here is dry. Now let's look at the passenger side. So right here, as you can see, this side over here is completely wet. So now let's disconnect these tubes. So I'm going to undo this clamp over here. We got this clip undone, so now we're gonna pry back this tube. So right there, I just pried this hose back. So we got this side disconnected. Okay, so now let's go to the other side and disconnect the other tube. Now we're going to pry this back. So right there, we got this side disconnected also. So now let's lower the van. After disconnecting the charge air cooler tubes, now the next step is going to be removing the front grille. The front grille has one bolt over here that we have to undo, and then we're gonna undo these plastic rivets here. Okay, and then this one. Now the way you undo these rivets is you get a screwdriver and push this out. Actually, let me get the right tool for it. So you push this out like this, just like that. Okay, and I'm gonna do that on all of them so I can remove them, and then we're gonna remove this little torque bolt over here. After we get this bolt removed, we have some plastic tabs on the bottom that I have to undo so that the grill can come out. So now let's do that. So we got a couple of tabs in here that we have to undo so we can remove the grill. So there's one over here. I hope you can see that. There's one right there, and there's another one back there at the corner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the one at the corner over here first. So it's this one over here. So what we are doing is we are pressing these tabs down. Okay, so right there. There's another one over here, so this one. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pressing this tab down, okay, this one. I'm gonna press it down, and then I'm gonna pull the grill towards the outside. It's gonna be a little bit hard for me to do it one-handed. I'm gonna seat you guys over here so I can do that. Okay, I'm gonna undo all these tabs, and then I'm gonna show you the tabs that I'm undoing after I get the grill removed. So I gotta press these tabs down and then put a little bit of pressure on this side of the grill and pry out. So just like that. So here comes the grill. So here are the plastic tabs that I was pushing. So there's one over here. So there's one here, there's another one over here, and then there's this one. So basically what you do is you push this down, push it down, and then you pry the grill out. Push down and then pry out. Okay? And once you push and pry all of them out, the grill is gonna come out. So basically the hook on the bumper over here, those tabs hook on the bumper right there. So you have to pry them down, pry the tab down, and then pull the grill out. Okay, so good. So now let's get the grill out of the way. After that, the next step is going to be removing the AC condenser fan. The AC condenser fan has a couple bolts over here. So there's this bolt and then this one. Okay, this is power steering cooler. Okay, this is a line that cools power steering fluid. So we're going to undo this torque bolt and then this one, and then we're going to undo this one as well, and after that we're going to unclip this over here. So this line over here, this cooler line, can just be hung over here out of the way. And after we undo all these bolts that hold this fan assembly in place, we're going to disconnect the electrical connector for it. There is an electrical connector over here that we have to disconnect, that connector there. And after we do that, this fan assembly is gonna come out. Now, service information calls for removing the front bumper to get access to the charge air cooler. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the charge air cooler removed without removing the front bumper. Let's remove the AC condenser fans first to see how much room we have between the charge air cooler, because the air cooler is down over here, between the charge air cooler and the bumper. If we don't have enough room between the charge air cooler and the bumper, we're gonna have to remove the bumper so we can have enough room to access the charge air cooler. Okay, so now I'm gonna seat you over here so we can remove this AC condenser fan assembly. Now I'm gonna undo this little line over here. So there's a little plastic clip that holds these lines in place. So once you undo this clip over here, you push it in and then you pry this line out. So this is just a line that makes a loop to cool the power steering fluid. Okay, so we're just gonna push it down over here out of the way. We undid all the bolts that hold the fan assembly in place. So the fan assembly should now come out. We can just pry it out. So actually, there is another bolt over here. There's another bolt down here that we have to undo. I'm gonna bring you guys over here so I can show you the bolt I'm talking about. We're gonna have to remove this plastic piece over here. And then there's another bolt. You probably won't be able to see it, but it's somewhere behind these lines. We're gonna have to remove another bolt that's back there so we can remove this fan assembly. Okay, so this plastic piece over here has a couple bolts. There's this one over here, there's another one, down over here, and then there's this one that we gotta undo. We're gonna do the same thing on both sides, okay? And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but there is a bolt. So you see that bolt in there, this one? Yeah, so we have to undo this torque bolt, okay? This is holding the fan assembly housing on the core support, okay? So, and as I'm looking down here between the fan and the front bumper, it looks like we don't have enough room. So even if we remove the fan, we're not gonna have enough room to pull the charge air cooler out. So we're gonna have to remove the front bumper, okay? Now to remove the front bumper, I'm gonna undo these bolts over here. There's one torque bolt over here, and there's another one over here. Okay, we're gonna remove this front step, and we're gonna undo this bolt over here. There's another one over here, and then we're gonna undo this ambient temperature sensor electrical connector, and I'm gonna disconnect these fog lights over here. The connector is in the back. It's pretty easy to disconnect. I'm gonna do that, and after that we're gonna pry the sides of the bumper. So to remove the bumper, it is really easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the side and just pry it. It just pops off, okay? Just like that, okay? Now let's go on the other side and do the same thing. So we're gonna grab this and pop it off. So just like that. And then I'm gonna disconnect the fog light over there, okay? And I'm gonna undo all the other plastic tabs that are holding the bumper to the bottom splash shield, okay? So just like that. And then when we put it back, we basically just gonna make sure that everything is lined up, and then we're just gonna pop it back in, just like that, okay? So I'm gonna seat you guys over here so I can remove the front bumper. So the side bolts over here for the bumper are T25 bolts. Now, the two bolts for the step over here are T45 bolts. Now, I'm gonna have to remove the front license plate because I believe we have two more bolts behind the license plate. We have two more bolts over here that we have to remove before the bumper comes out. Now, before I remove those two bolts, I'm gonna disconnect the fog lights first. So I got the fog lights disconnected. So now I'm gonna undo these two bolts. And these bolts over here are 13mm bolts. Alright, so I got both bolts removed. So now our front bumper should be able to come out. Now I'm gonna pry the bumper out. So let's pry this. So here comes our front bumper. We're gonna take it out of the way. I had to disconnect an ambient air temperature sensor. There is this sensor over here. I had to disconnect that. And there's another module. There is some type of module over here that I had to disconnect. So now our bumper can be put aside. So just like that. So at this point we should be able to remove the AC condenser cooling fan assembly pretty easily. I'm going to disconnect the electrical connector of the fan assembly first. So now I'm going to undo these plastic pieces over here that go between the fan assembly and the headlight. So let's get the horn out of the way. So here comes the first piece, and this piece over here only had one bolt. It was missing one bolt over here. I'll see if I can find a bolt for it, because it's supposed to have two bolts that hold it in place. So we got this plastic piece removed, so let's get it out of the way. So we got this one. So I'm gonna keep this one over here because these two plastic pieces are different. The one on the left side is different from the one on the right side. So we had to remove those plastic pieces to get to these bolts. There is this one over here, and there's another one back here. Okay? Once we undo these two bolts, the AC condenser fan is gonna come out. So now we got all the bolts removed. The condenser fan should come out now. So here it is. So I'm gonna get the AC condenser fan out of the way. So this is what we got. We got the AC condenser here. We have our charged air cooler down over here. Okay. And we do have, it looks like this over here is the transmission fluid cooler. Okay. So I'm going to undo this little bolt over here so we can get the transmission cooler out of the way. So these lines over here are pretty flexible. We can just push this out of the way, and after that we're going to undo the side bolt over here for the charged air cooler, and then the cooler is going to come out. I'm going to give you guys a closer look of what I'm going to remove next, and after that we're going to remove the charged air cooler. So this over here is our transmission fluid cooler. So the way we're going to remove this is we're going to push these tabs out, and then this cooler is going to come out. Okay, now before it comes out completely, we have to undo this bolt first. Okay, so we're going to get this out of the way, and that way this cooler can just be kind of, we can just swing this down over here. Okay, down and out of the way. So now we have enough room to get the charged air cooler out. Now to get the charged air cooler out, we have to undo this bolt. You see this one bolt over here? Okay, this bolt holds the charged air cooler on the radiator core, okay, because the charged air cooler is mounted on the back of the radiator. Okay, now we're gonna have to remove this little plastic thing over here. Okay, this has to come out. So basically we're gonna undo this bolt over here also. I don't know if you can see it. So this bolt over here needs to come out. Okay, so we're gonna undo this one and then this one over here. After we undo those two bolts, our charge air cooler should come out. Okay, so now let's undo those two bolts so we can remove the charge air cooler. Alright, so I'm gonna undo this bolt over here first. And then I'm gonna undo the one on this side. So this is a pretty long bolt. So I got both bolts undone. So now our charge air cooler should be able to come out now. Alright guys, so here comes our charge air cooler. So this is how you remove a charge air cooler on a 2014 Mercedes Sprinter with a 2.1 liter. It's basically the same process on all of these Sprinters, okay? So this cooler was leaking around this area, okay? Actually, I can see if I can use my smoke machine and send smoke on this cooler so we can see where the leak is. I would like to show you where the actual leak is. Now, let's get this charge air cooler out of the way. I'm gonna bring you guys on the bench so we can send smoke on this cooler. Hopefully I can be able to show you where the leak is. And then we're gonna install a new one. I already got a new one from Mercedes. So let's test this and then I will install a new one. Before we install the new charge air cooler, we're gonna clean up all this dirt over here that's covered up on these AC condenser fins. Okay, so now let's take this charge air cooler to the bench. So now let's clean up this AC condenser. So that's definitely better than the way it was before. I brought the old charge air cooler on the bench so we can test it. So this is the side that's leaking. I blocked this side with this yellow cap and I'm using this bladder over here to send smoke inside the charge air cooler. So I'm gonna turn on my smoke machine. So I got the smoke machine and everything set up already. So the smoke machine is on. So now let's wait and see if we're gonna find where this charge air cooler is leaking from. So I got my smoke machine connected to this bladder here. Okay. So now let's wait. So right there, I see smoke leaking out from this side over here. I hope you can see. So we definitely have smoke leaking out from this plastic core and over here. So we have a leak right here. Do you see that? Yeah, so we have a leak right there. Okay, so this air cooler was leaking. Now let's check the other side and see what we're gonna find. As you can see, this side over here is dry and we don't have any smoke coming out of this side. Okay, now check out this side. So right there, this is the problem, guys. You see this? So this was causing low boost trouble codes to be set on this van. Okay, so this charge air cooler is bad. All right, so that's good. We have checked the old charge air cooler. We know for sure there's a leak, although it was white, but I wanted to make sure that we actually had a leak over here. Okay, see that? That's a huge leak right there. All right, so that's good. I'm going to turn off our smoke machine. Actually, the smoke machine already shut off itself, so that's good. I'm gonna disconnect our power source over here so we can remove this bladder. Okay, so leaking charge air cooler. This air cooler is bad. I'm gonna show you the new one. I'm gonna show you the part number of the new charge air cooler, and after that we're gonna install it. So here is our new charge air cooler. So this is the part number over here. So this is the Mercedes part number. Okay, so now let's open the box. So here she is. So this is our new charge air cooler. Okay, so now let's take this to the vehicle so we can install it. So now I'm gonna install the charge air cooler. At this point, everything I'm gonna do is gonna be the reverse process of the removal process. I'm gonna make sure that it's lined up. Installing this charge air cooler is really straightforward. So I'm making sure that the charge air cooler is lined up here, and then I'm gonna put the bolt on. Alright, so I'm gonna show you the bolts that I got on, and after that I'm gonna tighten all the bolts, and at that point we're gonna start putting everything back together. We have this bolt over here started, and then I got this one all the way. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that the charge air cooler is sitting well on the radiator core. Okay, so all is well, everything looks good. So now we're gonna tighten these two bolts. Alright, the transmission fluid cooler is reinstalled. So here comes the AC condenser fan assembly. So it's gonna go right over here. Alright, so we got this piece installed. So now we're gonna reinstall our power steering fluid cooler in place. Alright, so everything is back together. So now let's install the front bumper. So here comes our front bumper. I'm gonna install our ambient temperature sensor. Now I'm gonna make sure that my fog lights are connected. And then I'm gonna pop the bumper on, so just like that. So now let's put the bumper bolts back on. Bumper bolts tightened. So now we're going to install this license plate support. Alright, so we have installed the bumper. Now the next step is going to be installing the front grille. So here comes our front grille. I'm gonna make sure that everything is lined up down here, and then we're just gonna tap it in. So just like that, you make sure that the grill is lined up, and then you just tap it in. The bottom tabs will snap in place. You have to make sure it's lined up first before you tap it in. If it's not lined up, you can break the tabs on the bottom of the front grille. Okay, so this is installed. So now I'm gonna install these plastic rivets here and these 2 bolts on each side of the grille, and after that we're gonna be done. So that's it, guys. Everything is back together. We are done. Actually, before we wrap up this video, we have to reconnect the charge air cooler hoses on this side. So these tubes over here are not connected. Now they're all lined up to the charge air cooler. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push them in, just like that. As you can see, this side is connected. So now we're gonna connect this side over here. And we're just gonna push it in, just like that. I hope you heard the click. Okay, so we got the charge air cooler tubes connected. Okay, so we're good to go. So now let's lower the vehicle so we can wrap up this video. Alright guys, so I'm gonna leave this right over here. This is how you remove and replace a charged air cooler on a 2014 Mercedes Sprinter with a 2.1 liter. If you want to know what test I did to figure out that the charged air cooler was leaking, I recommend you watch the video that's gonna come out before this one. That's gonna be the diagnosis video of this van. In that video, I will show you all the tests I did and the test drive to confirm the driver's complaint, because the original complaint on this van was power loss. It was losing power tremendously. Okay, so this one over here is a how-to video. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why, so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching. See you next time.